Kia ora and hello and welcome to the Third Pint Theory. You're with your regular hosts, Michael Donaldson, that's myself, the editor of Pursuit of Hoppiness, and joining me on the other side of the screen is...
Martin Bridges. They call me the beer bigwig.
Indeed. Welcome, Martin. Good evening. We're doing an unusual pod tonight.
No guests.
Yeah.
So if you listen to these podcasts for the interesting interviews that we do, I'm sorry, it's just me and Michael tonight. And my dog down here, but I don't think she's going to contribute all that much.
Luna, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. But what we're going to do is a fresh hop tasting. So we've picked 3 beers each. We may not finish all 3 in the course of the discussion, but we'll see how we go. And we're also going to talk about some of our other favorites that we've had along the way. And maybe it'll help you in your decision making. I hope. There's still plenty of fresh hop beers to come. I did order, Martin, a box from Beer Jerk, and the email arrived the other day and said it's coming soon, and because they were just waiting to fill it up. So the beers are still being produced. Not all of them are out there yet. I know Boneface are promising another one. One. Yeah. So there are more to come, but there's been plenty already. And
absolutely.
Overall, Martin, what's your vibe on the quality, what people have been doing so far? Because you judged the fresh hop competition. So
I did. That was really helpful. So I judged at the Behemoth fresh hop competition, which they had a couple of weeks ago, 2, 3 weeks ago. And that had 28 beers there. And there have been, at the time, that was not everything that was available.
No.
And since then, there's a bunch come out, and as you say, there are still some to come. So I think this year feels like even more than in previous years. But what I would say is, I think this is the best year we've had in terms of quality. I think, and it was really good to be able to do that judging, because you don't often get to go through back to back a number of beers, and our table did about 10, I think. Back to back, and with a kind of a judging head on, actually thinking, not knowing who the brewery was, not knowing what the beer was, is this a good beer? And the quality, I thought was really good. We only had one that I thought was like, this has some issues, and there were some real standouts. So I think in general, quality has been right up there.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I will say that I think it's a little bugbear of mine, and that a lot of people demand or seem to want, and they use the word dank, possibly overused. There is a whole podcast on dank, I think, and what it means. I've been reading a bit about it, actually, and where it comes from. Of course, there's the cannabis reference and what have you, but I think dank is not necessarily a fresh hop characteristic, and to expect lots of it in a fresh hop beer is, I think, sometimes misguided, because it comes from, there's so many ways it's created, not least of all, the actual fermentation process and whether the CO2 strips away some of those volatile compounds that might contribute to it. But anyway, so I think looking for dank does not define a good fresh hop season. And to me, there are certain signs that I look for. One of them is definitely a mouthfeel. I think it needs to have a tackiness almost, just with those extra oils and tannins and polyphenols that come through from that grassy material, and a little bit, I say it's that, top of your palate,
Yeah.
your tongue sticking there a little bit. Obviously you want aroma, and you want, I guess it comes with mouthfeel, but that resinous quality. But I think you don't necessarily want to be slapped around too much. And this is an interesting thing. Is it because it's once a year, it should be done OTT?
Yep.
Or because you're still making quality beer, it should be nice and balanced. And it's a really interesting...
I think it is a really interesting challenge. And I know exactly what you mean, because, some of the time when we were doing that judging it's like, it's a really good beer, but is it a fresh hop beer?
Mm-hmm.
And what are you looking for at that point? And sometimes I agree that some people are like, oh, it's not dank enough. And sometimes they're looking for, like, I think, kind of tannins and chlorophyll type stuff. So stuff I don't think is actually all that pleasant.
No.
And they're saying like, oh yeah, I got this real. I could really taste the greenness of the hops. It's like, well, yes, maybe you can, but I'm not entirely certain that that's a thing you should be looking for. It's like, is it a nice beer?
Yes, yeah, but you want a little bit of, I think, organic's another overused word, but something that feels like it's come directly from nature. It's grassy is a word that you could use, but it's like, it's a kind of a visceral nature to it. Anyway, it's because there are some remarkably good beers, fresh hop beers, that don't slap you around the chops, and you've got to learn to appreciate them for what they are, and especially one-off releases, because you haven't got anything to compare it to. And one of the things I like is when you get a fresh hop release that's the fresh hop version of an existing beer, so you can have a reference point. This is what it normally tastes like. This is the fresh hop version. And there are a couple of really good ones out there that I would recommend if people want to do that. And that's 8 Wired's Fresh Hop Wired and Urbanaut's Fresh Hop Copacabana.
That was
which it was really good. And the fresh hop really changed that thing, so that, because normally it's a brute IPA, and it's still a brute IPA, and it's really spare and lean, but that fresh hop quality filled it out. And I thought it was a fantastic beer, and I almost wish that they could do it all the time like that.
An interesting point while we're talking about that is that, and it's not a direct comparison because they're not the same beer, but new hop this season, Rhapsody.
Yes.
Rhapsody has been released this year, and as part of the release, Behemoth brewed a beer called Nelsonian Rhapsody.
Yes.
Right name. Made with standard dried Rhapsody.
Right.
And then as the fresh hop program, they did a beer with an absolutely awesome name. It was Brian. He's not a hop. He's a very naughty boy. And that was brewed with fresh hop Rhapsody. And those two side by side.
Right.
And the fresh hop version was streets ahead in my mind.
Okay, that's another good comparison. Yeah.
It was just a nicer hop character. I don't know, that's not a very beer judge term. It was brighter, it was cleaner, which is interesting given that it's a fresh hop. Normally people are talking about dank and green, whatever. This to me was a brighter, cleaner, fresher hop character.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah,
um,
interesting.
and that was a, a really really good bit.
I've got, it's not the one I'm on at the moment, but later on I have got one done with Rhapsody. So we'll talk about that a little bit more later on. That's from Clayton Hops. Let's talk about our first beer. I'll go
Mm.
first because I've got this beautiful green can for those watching, Parrot Dog Fresh Hop Pilsner. I bought this and then I was lucky enough to get sent one. And if I hadn't been sent another one, I would have gone out and bought it for this because I'm really liking the Pilsners this year, Martin. I think there's a handful of them that have been outstanding. I think Hop Federation's Fresh Hop Pilsner.
Mm.
Quite interesting. They amped up the ABV from last year from 5 to 5.6. They had new hop farm to get it from since they're no longer part of the Conno family, so they didn't use the Conno hops. And they had a new brewery to brew it on at DNA. And so this is the same with Green Limousine as well. So there was a lot going on for them. And they absolutely nailed it. Like that hop-fed fresh hop pilsner, Taiheki and Motueka. It's just a real lemon lime delight. It's really good. Also Sawmill's fresh hop pilsner I thought was excellent. But this one, the Parrot Dog one with Rewaka, to me, it's just fresh is a really good description, but it's got a sort of a stalky. I don't know if you sort of broke a green stalk. It's quite hard to describe that. It's not sappy and it's not astringent. It's just got a little hum to it, like a fresh hop hum. And I can feel it on my palate when I'm drinking it. I can get that nice mellow textural experience, and it is really good. It's not going to blow anyone away, but it's delicious. So,
I absolutely, I'm going to say, I absolutely agree that the fresh hop pilsners this year have been awesome. And then in the three I've selected tonight, none of them are pilsners.
no.
So I absolutely agree with you though that pilsner is a great canvas for fresh hop because I think you can get the balance right, and I think that's great. And one of the best beers I have tasted this fresh hop season, which unfortunately I cannot get in a package, is the one which won at the Behemoth competition, which was the St. Leonard's Rewaka Pilsner. West Coast Pilsner, I think it was, wasn't
yes.
it? Was
it?
West Coast
Pilsner? Yeah, West Coast Pilsner.
And that was a cracking beer. That was just full on, real Rewaka expression. Or that slightly diesel, a little bit of the diesely, a little bit of the limey kind of grapefruit bit. Such a good beer. I'm very disappointed. I can't get it apart from going to St. Leonard's taproom and drinking it there. In fact, I don't even know if they've got any left.
Oh, okay. So I just finished one on the Parrot Dog Pilsner with Rewaka, and one of the reasons I really like this one is that yes, it's bright citrusy. It doesn't tip over into, like, Rewaka can get really strong grapefruit, and this is a bit more lighter sort of citrus, like lime zesty. But it's also got, it's like a tobacco note. So maybe that's the burnt diesel-y quality, but I'm sort of picking it up as a little bit of tobacco, and that's quite nice and it's quite layered. Anyway, I thoroughly recommend it. What have you got first up?
So first up, I have got one of the first beers I had this fresh hop season, and it has stuck with me throughout. And I have got oh god, this is where the stupid background doesn't work.
I've got the Chemical Romance.
I have the Duncan's Chemical Romance.
Yes. Chemical with a K, yes.
Chemical with a K, for Chem Eggers from
Yes.
Eggers Hops in the Moosery Valley, and with the Eggers Special Hops, which I believe is reworker.
Yes, it's a variation, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is a cracking beer. This is a New Zealand IPA, classic way to express fresh hops.
Yep.
And Duncan's, for all they are known for crazy lactose-infused fruited sours and pastry stouts, make some bloody good hoppy beers.
Yeah.
And this is one of them. And this is that absolutely has that mouthfeel thing, has the slight oiliness. It's, I think, of the early fresh hops that I tasted, this was the one that had the most punch. This had real impact. It had weight. I think it's possibly not one that I would drink several back to back. It is a 6.5%, so it's not ultra weighty, but it's up there for in classic IPA territory. But it's a real, it's reworker. It has slightly funky nose, a little bit
sulfury, I would have said, maybe.
on
my memory of it,
that diesel, but some lovely fruit and that lovely oiliness. And the other thing that I love about the fresh hop beers, which again you probably won't be able to see on the camera, is that the head retention on them is.
Yeah. I was actually going to make a comment about the lacing.
Oh, look at the lacing on that. That's beautiful. Yeah. Nice clean glass you've got there, Mike.
Yeah, thank you. Yes.
That was a cracker. I was really impressed with that Duncan's, and it's I immediately, after I'd tried it, knowing that we were going to be doing this kind of a few weeks later, I went and bought a second can to stick in the fridge.
I think any beer that you go back for, it's always a good sign. When there are so many and there's new ones coming all the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. 100%. So reverse your steps. Yeah. On the New Zealand IPA style, for want of a better catch-all, there were a couple of others that would fit in that bill that I've had that I thought were absolutely outstanding. One of them is Mount Brewing's Waimea Bay. Very unusual. So it's a hazy and hopped with Waimea hops, which I was talking to Pavel from Mount Brewing on another subject, but we got around to talking about this beer because I found it so intense. I think it took me the best part of 45 minutes to drink it. It was just full on. And he told me that he's always loved Waimea hops because when he was home brewing in Poland, and 17 years ago, he said, one of the few hops that you could get outside of European hops was Waimea. And so he used it a lot in his home brewing, so he's always loved it. It's a super high alpha acid hop. So there's a risk that when you're going to go fresh hop with it, you're just going to go ballistic on the bitterness. So kind of congratulations to them that they managed to restrain it. But it is such a sensory experience, and I highly recommend it.
It did very well. I think it came top 3 in the...
Yes, it did. Yes.
But I absolutely agree. It's a sipper.
Yeah. Look, and the other one in that category, in a different context, different intensity, is Batch Brewing's Sticky Buds. It's the 3rd year they've done it, so it's called Sticky Buds 3. It's fresh hop Nectaron, but it's also made with a bunch of other T90 pellets, but they are fresh T90s, so they are from this year's harvest. So it's pretty sure it's all the regular usual suspects. There's Rewalker, Nelson Sauvin, Motueka, maybe one other, but with fresh nectar on top. And it is just for people who like the juice, who want something that is pineapple juice mixed with orange juice. Go there, buy it, enjoy it, because it is so just tropical fruit bowl sweet. Yeah, so I highly recommend that one as well.
Very good. Oh, well, we were going on to the second one, but
oh well, I am. I'm not finishing these cans.
No. Absolutely, I'm lining them up here. So
yeah,
I will go to mine.
I just cracked one to let it breathe. So yeah, look, I've gone next up. I've gone local. So I've gone with Three Sisters and Wayward Sun, which is a fresh hop New Zealand pale ale. And I love the simplicity of the blurb on the back. It's very short, but what it says is, Wayward hops are a new Taranaki hop grower. We got some great Nelson Sauvin for this pale ale. Enjoy. So
great to see kind of those local non-Nelson area hops coming through. I think Shining Peak also used.
They a couple, local, So Wayward, there's Wayward and another one, Quarter Acre hops, and they've been, I guess, given a leg up from Venture Taranaki to explore hop growing in the region to see if it'll work. And Wayward hops seem to be the bigger farm. I think both local breweries use them. I know Three Sisters have used some Quarter Acre hops in the past. It's an interesting, because I wouldn't have thought the climate was right. It gets very windy here, but I think if they're in a sheltered spot, a bit of breeze doesn't hurt. It keeps pests away and stops powdery mildew or something like that. But it gets cold enough in winter and hot enough in summer, and lots of sunshine hours. So it could turn into a hop growing region. So yeah, I'm going to stick my nose. I haven't tasted this yet, so I'm going to stick my nose in this Nelson Sauvin Taranaki growing beer. And it's really nice. But it's not Nelson Sauvin as you know it. It's not that white
terroir thing is it is interesting. I think I was chatting to Pete Gillespie from Garage Project this week for something else, and we were talking about hops from different regions and picked at different times, and the differences that come through as a result of that. And I think that, because the reason he was saying this was that we were talking about Pernicious Weed Classic, first beer that Garage Project released, have not changed the recipe in 15 years. But he said, if you jumped in a time machine, got a pint of it from 15 years ago and had it against a can from today, it would taste completely different, because the hops are different. And the hops, we understand so much more. And I think that's a really interesting point. And I think that if we talk to some of our hop growing friends, I'm sure that they will tell us more about that. Maybe in a few years.
Yeah, it's a really good point, because it's a really evolving science about the picking windows and the maturity. And, there's that whole thing that, Nelson Sauvin picked at a certain time. It's got that grapey white wine character, some passion fruit. Picked later, it goes to the onion, garlic, dank, kind of more sulfury compounds that a lot of people like. And it's got to the point where people are sort of contracting. I'll have a bit of Nelson Sauvin that's grown at this time and a little bit grown at that time, and you put it together, and so you can get a mix, and then you take it from that farm or that farm, that block, and someone else was telling me recently, about just almost getting a different on when they're rubbing hops in a hop field, like, and going down a row, that the aroma can change depending on what row you're in, because it's just got different sunlight than the previous one, so it can get really subtle and very complex trying to pick, what you want. So yeah.
I think it's right, because now it must be so much more complex for brewers in terms of, before it's like, we make this beer, it's got Nelson Sauvin and it's got Rewalk around it. So I'm making this beer, I'll go to the cool store and I'll pick out some Nelson and some. Actually, no, I want the late picked Nelson in this one, so I've got to go to that bit of the shelf, not that bit of the shelf, because I've got 2 lots of Nelson from different farms, maybe from different picking windows, and so on. So it does give you the ability to tweak the flavor profile of your beer, but it certainly makes it a lot more complex in terms of your stock.
Yeah. Look, I will, before we go on to what you've got in front of you, I will say with this this Nelson Sauvin, it's this beer, it's got a very prickly, lively kind of mouthfeel. Like the first 2 or 3 sips, it was just like pinging away inside there, and that's really another nice quality I kind of like in fresh hop. But it's definitely more it's like sweet lemon, this one, which is just a slightly different characteristic. It's only a pale ale, which is also a very unusual style to put fresh hop into. It's usually either an IPA or a Pilsner or a hazy, but a pale ale's a bold choice. So yeah.
Just before we talk about what I'm drinking, we'll call back to what you were saying earlier in terms of sometimes you don't get smacked in the face with hops, and also talking about what you were saying there in terms of unusual styles. One of the ones that stood out for me was the Hallertau fresh hop, which was a Belgian Golden Strong.
That was so delicious. Yeah,
it was a delicious beer. It also did fairly well, I think, in the Behemoth judging. So it was not by any stretch of the imagination dank or or whatever. It was a subtle expression of hops, because think Duvel. You don't generally think of Duvel as a hoppy beer, although they do Duvel variants with extra hops and whatever. But it was a really well made Belgian Golden Strong, and it had a really fresh hop character to it. Not fresh hop, fresh character. You see what I mean?
Yes.
So I really enjoyed it, and again, brave choice going with something that is not a classic hop-full beer.
Hallertau have been a bit off the wall in their fresh hops in recent years. I'm pretty sure they did a black IPA one year, and maybe an ESB another year. So they're not followers of fashion.
I have a sneaky suspicion that one of the reasons they did that was you don't need quite so many fresh hops to go with that Belgian Golden Strong.
Growing that,
and
because that's when they grew them.
Yeah. So I suspect that may have had an impact. So in terms of what am I drinking now? So I've gone to the haze side. I've got here the Behemoth Cheech and Chong.
Yes, bit of a classic, that one.
So yeah, I remember the days when there were two. There was Cheech and there was Chong, and there were two separate fresh hop beers. But
Oh, okay.
now
Yeah.
for the last few years, they've been it's been one beer. The artwork is awesome, as is often the case with Behemoth beers. This I think came across my table at the Behemoth judging, and was my beer of the day of the ones that we
Yeah.
judged. This to me, it's I'm not the world's biggest hazy beer fan,
Mm.
so it takes a lot
Yes. Yes.
for hazy to impress me. But this did impress me because there's just the integration of the flavors, the way that the thickness of the mouthfeel from the hazy works with the oiliness of the fresh hop, but there is enough bitterness in there to sort of just undercut the sweetness and keep it balanced. I thought that I thought the color of it was great. Sometimes the hazies can be that sort of weird
Yeah.
orange color. This is kind of on the paler side. It's Rewalker and Nelson Southern, and from Clayton Hops again, and it is just brings those two things together. Just that kind of tropical element of Nelson, the kind of with a little bit of the gooseberry, gooseberry, and then on the back end, just that little kind of whiff of diesel and lime zest from the Rewalker. I think it smells great. I think that sometimes hazies, in terms of fresh hops, kind of subdue the aroma a bit.
Yep. I know what you mean there. Yeah, it's putting in, so both of those hops, fresh hops.
Yeah.
And then so that's another interesting move, because most of these beers tend to be one hop that, and I think the logistics of it make it hard to get two lots into something.
I think the other thing this season that has been very hard on the breweries is that just before fresh hop season, Air New Zealand changed the way that they calculate freight pricing.
Oh, really?
From being weight based to being volumetric based. And funnily enough, fresh hops take up a lot of space.
They do, but they don't weigh very much. Yeah,
but they don't weigh very much. So breweries got stung.
Yeah. Okay.
Big style. So I think it will be interesting to see how that affects next year, if that's still the case, because it was too far down the track. Brewers that I spoke to said that we'd committed to orders for hops, and we committed to beers that we were going to make. So basically, we're just not going to make very much money because the freight costs were significantly more than we expected, and we can't change the price of the beer, particularly ones that are going into retail. They've already communicated what the prices are going to be, so you just have to wear it. But will that impact planning for next year, where you go, actually, we did 5 or 6 different fresh hop beers this year, where maybe we do 2 or 3 next time.
Yeah. I mean, certainly Behemoth did seem to do a lot. Urbanaut did a lot. And whereas others like Garage Project are doing 3, Parrot Dog have done 2, so it's remember a few years ago, Urbanaut did a mixed 6-pack of fresh hop beers, which was rather bold, but the logistics of that would have been a nightmare.
Mind you, every year, certainly for about the last 4 years, I've said, next year I expect we'll see less, because it's they are hard to sell beyond a certain time. You got a very short window in which you've got to sell them all, and they are expensive to make.
Yes.
So I think every year I say, "Oh, we've peaked in terms of the number of fresh hops," and then every year I'm completely and utterly wrong. And the next year we get even more. So I'm not making any predictions at all, but it wouldn't surprise me if the cost of shipping has an impact on the amount of fresh hop beers that we see next year. I talked to one brewer who said that just the shipping costs alone on the hops was $6,000.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That is so
just a ridiculous amount of money.
Yeah. And I think for people, if you're listening, if you don't understand that these hops have to move very quickly from being picked, they often get now stored cold until they're ready to be shipped. But you sort of can't faff around with them and put them on the road in a big truck from Nelson to Auckland or wherever. They have to go by air if you're going to use them in the right time frame to get the best out of them. So it is an expense that, once you've committed to that, you can't get around it.
And you don't have any options in terms of who's going to do it, because they're coming from Nelson mainly, and the only people who are flying out of Nelson are Air New Zealand. So you are beholden to what Air New Zealand are going to charge you.
Yeah, exactly. On that note, we did have, I remember Parrot Dog chartered a plane once, and a few others have done that. And I just wonder if maybe there's a market for a group of brewers to, rent their own private jet, so to speak, to whiz around the country picking up and dropping off. Because if you had a collective of people, maybe you could make it work. I don't know. It's
strip all the seats out, just fill the plane with hops.
Yeah. I will say, just finishing up on that, the Three Sisters Wayward Son, it's left a really very dry, tacky feeling on my palate, which is another, and a lingering bitterness, which is another good fresh hop sign, that not so much that you feel like you were, the worst examples are when you think, you've been chewing grass and you do not want that. And we have seen those kind of things in the past. There have been some notorious fresh hop beers that are like mouthfuls of grass, and for one, they shall remain unmentioned.
We shall not talk about
some of them are. Yes.
I have a beer which has my legendary tasting note of looks like soup, tastes like arse.
Oh, very good. Hey, moving right along, because there's no pause for thought here. So my last selection of the night, as I mentioned, Rhapsody earlier from. So the first, give credit where it's due. Parrot Dog, fresh hop, Pilsner Rewalker from New Zealand hops, the Taranaki hops, and now we've got the third supplier, if you like, which is Clayton Hops with their new Rhapsody. And this McLeod's have put into a cold IPA called Harvest, with quite a nice little picture of a tractor amongst the hop bines. So, new brewer, new hop. So, room for things to go wrong. But they have not missed a beat on this one. This is just so intense. Like, there is just aroma just bursting out of the glass. Like, it is full on. Like, this is definitely dank. Like, this is where dank works, right? Yeah. So it's a smell of, tobacco's a really good, tobacco leaf. There's a sweet grapefruit, zest and grapefruit juice kind of note underneath, and then it's got some brighter top notes. It's really, really good. The aroma is just delicious. And for a new hop, it looks like it's doing the business. And great style to put it in cold IPA, because it's a bit like a Pilsner, kind of restrained canvas to let the hop play. And super fruity on the palate. So there's a sweetness that's not on the nose that comes across on the palate, and it's just like washing your mouth with wine gums or something, So it's
I had it.
Yeah.
I had a can of it last night, and I absolutely agree. It's a great beer. I was I was chatting to Jeff from McLeod's the other day, and he said that he'd got kind of personally addicted to the harvest over the last week or so. It's his favorite beer that they're making at the moment, and I agree. It absolutely has that. It's definitely oily. It definitely has the dankness. But it is such a good beer, and I think absolutely, if that's what Rhapsody can do, where Clayton Hops are onto a winner there. This their first new release.
Yes.
New variety.
Yeah, I think so. Freestyle have done a couple. I think they do Peacherine and another one. But so in conjunction with Plant and Food, or what used to be called Plant and Food, now I'll never get this right, Bioeconomy Science Institute.
Oh, well done.
Yeah. So they do the hop. They have been the traditional hop breeders in New Zealand. They worked with New Zealand hops for many years, but with the sort of fragmenting of the industry, Plant and Food work for whoever want them to work with them. So this is one of many hops in their arsenal, so to speak, and Clayton's have chosen to go with this one as a. I did talk to Ron Beatson about this, and he told me some of the ancestry, but this was one of his that he bred during his time at what was Plant and Food. So it's been in existence for a while, but it hasn't gone through all the necessary trials and the planting out to see if it would work on a commercial level until Clayton's gave it a go, and they'll be very happy with it, I think. So.
Yeah, I think good old Dr. Ron Beatson, the legend of the New Zealand hop industry, without whom I doubt we would have a hop industry such as we do.
Yeah. Yes. No, correct. There.
The fact that Russian River Brewing.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. Yeah.
In the States, one of the greatest hop focused brewers in the world. Everybody talks about Pliny the Elder and Blind Pig and all that sort of thing. They brew a beer named after Ron.
Yes.
Which
absolutely.
Is like how that no wonder he retired, because at that point what else do you do, you've made it.
I have been told, and we're getting off the topic here, but we're talking hops, but I have been told that on times when Ron he is now retired, but he's still an ambassador, if you like, for New Zealand hops, and so he frequently goes to America to kind of showcase New Zealand hops. But I was told a story, I can't remember where he was, whether it was in a bar or at an event, but he was accosted by a group of hop heads who recognized him and asked him for his autograph. So, this is a 70-something-year-old New Zealand scientist. He's not a sports star or a celebrity.
Plant researcher.
Yeah, plant researcher.
So kids, study science. You too could be accosted for your autograph in a random place in the US at
Yes.
some point in the future, just because you grew some hops.
Yes. So yeah, cheers to Ron for rap.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Legend. Anyway, talking
yes,
talking of legends, I've gone with, look at this. It's a beer in a bottle. That pretty much means that it can only have come from one place. And that's Brave Brewing, good friends of the show in Hastings, and this is their Helping Hands, which is another IPA. After me waxing lyrical about
Pilsners, yes,
I've gone with 3 IPAs. And this, this is a beer. This is I saved the most intense till last, because I did not want to destroy myself before this one. This is a big beer. We're not big in terms of alcohol, but certainly in terms of impact. So again, I also have selected 3 different hop suppliers. I have to say, completely without thinking that way, but it wasn't planned. But so the Duncan's obviously is from Eggers, Eggers hop. The Behemoth from Clayton's, and the Brave is from Freestyle. Freestyle hop.
So 3 independent or outside the New Zealand Hop Collective.
Absolutely. And this is, and we were talking earlier, I knew I got my order of beers wrong, but I knew that this was going to be super intense, so I wanted to leave it to last. When we were talking before about picking windows and the impact that those can have on the flavor expression of hops, Brave have deliberately gone with late harvest Nelson Sauvin and Nectaron. And, that really does bring out that dankness. So that kind of diesel, a little bit of onion and garlic. Interestingly, this exhibits one of the things I have noticed about this year's fresh hops, which I have not necessarily noticed about previous years. And I don't know whether that's just because I hadn't noticed it, or whether it's a thing about this year's hops. And that is that initially, when you first pour it, and if you give it a little bit of a swirl and stick your nose in, the first impression I got was like, ooh, I'm not entirely certain I like that. And there were some aromas that were not attractive, and which some of the you might hear words used by beer judges like indole.
It's
a polite way of saying poo. So that when I was doing the Behemoth judging, several beers, and there were good judges alongside me to corroborate what I was saying. Several of us went, ooh,
it's like.
But then coming back to it a couple of minutes later, it's like, it's gone. And it is now, I'm getting that big kind of that Sauvin white grape, a little bit of nectarine, and a little bit of that kind of dankness, but that unpleasant aroma is gone. So I don't know whether it's just something about this year's hops.
Look,
you definitely
it's. I have had that experience as well. I will quite noticeably in another Nectaron hopped beer that Parrot Dog did a hazy with Nectaron, and it's delicious. Like, no doubt about it. It was one I had at a local fresh hop festival. But before I had it, someone else had it, and they just said, "Smell this," and it was just like, whoa, that's just a bit off-putting. but then you can't, and I said, but what does it taste like? And it's like, oh, it's delicious, So I went and ordered mine, and yeah, same thing, little bit on the, and I think it's a volatile compound, sulfur based, and that it blows off with the release of the carbon dioxide, I think, and yeah, gone. And
but really interesting that was not. This is not the only beer I've noticed that in. It has been across several. Obviously, when I was judging, I've no idea what the beers were, so I don't know if they had nectar on it.
Yeah.
So I couldn't tell you whether it's a link to Nectaron, but whatever it is, it was something that was quite prevalent, and it wasn't just poo. There were some other slightly unpleasant aromas in there, but they, again, as you say, volatile, blew away, and then this, I have to say, is it's a full on flavor explosion.
It's always they've done it for a few years now, that Helping Hands, maybe 3 years, I could be wrong, but yeah, it's always a highlight. And I know that I've got one coming, I think, as part of an order. I'll tell you another one just to wrap up. Another one that I have had that is about to find its way into package, it's out in keg maybe, was Element Brewing, did a black IPA. I had this at the little fresh hop event at Mike's here in New Plymouth, and it was really good. Really good. Black IPA is great. This has just got all the if you like that style of beer, go and hunt out the Element Black IPA. I can't remember what it was hopped with. If you pushed me, I'd say Nelson Sauvin, but I honestly can't remember, because I didn't have a notes in front of me, no can to reference.
If I see it, I will try it, because I love the black IPA. I love what Jason does at Element, and so the combination of those and fresh hops, should be high on my list. In terms of other kind of highly commended ones that were on my shortlist for this evening, the Epic Fire Horse.
Yes.
Another IPA. But the thing I loved about that beer was it is a really well made fresh hop beer, but it just absolutely is an epic beer. It has that epic house character, that a really well made, really super drinkable IPA. Luke and the team at Steam absolutely know how to make a good IPA, and they've done it again. So I that was high on my list. Also the I've only tried one of the Garage Project 3. So Garage Project released one, and then a couple more have followed along. The One Day in March, which is the hazy IPA, which I believe is Nelson Sauvin.
I think sometimes it's a couple of hops in that one. But yeah, it's a reliable.
It's a really good beer. So it kind of rivals. It's up there with the Behemoth Cheech and Chong to me in terms of really well made.
Yeah, fresh. I think in the past it's definitely had two hops, and one of them I can remember Southern Cross being one of them. Garage Project are big users of Southern Cross, I think. In terms of unusual hops, and probably not that widely available, but Mata Brewing from Whakatane did a fresh hop with New Zealand Cascade. I don't know where it was from, and I can't remember the style. I think it was an IPA. But that was just a really nice experience. Like New Zealand Cascade is not a hop you see a lot of, so that was great. And Beer Baroness Witch's Brew, I think it's called, and it was a Rewaka hopped Pilsner, but with Bold River hops from North Canterbury. So I just like tasting all these different regions and how they present. So That was definitely a different experience with the North Canterbury variant. So
I think that's one of the things which makes this time of year so awesome for me as a beer drinker in New Zealand. I think nobody else in the world makes such a fuss of fresh hop.
no, no.
The
Maybe in the
UK,
Pacific Northwest of America, there might, Oregon, but it's
yeah, but maybe they do. I think they have some. There'll be some festivals, and some breweries might do one.
yeah.
But,
But yeah, no, I think you're right that down here we're way over the top about it.
and I think that is because of the proximity. It
Yes.
is possible to get hops from the fields into the beer within a day by paying a large amount of money to Air New Zealand to do so. But you can do that, and then you can get them out around the country very quickly, and you can sell them very quickly, and so on. So I think I absolutely love that we have this time of year. I call it craft beer Christmas. It's there are so many things, and I'm finding it very hard to drink anything other than fresh hop beers at the
Oh yeah,
moment.
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But I think it's that you get to try. Oh, what's the difference between Canterbury grown Nelson Southern versus Nelson Lakes grown
Yeah.
Southern, or what are the differences between farms? What are the differences in different styles? What are the differences that different breweries can make with the same hops? There's just if you have any kind of curiosity about what hops do to a beer and what hops are, this is the time of year to be drinking them.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you that the ability in New Zealand to get these fresh hops everywhere in the country is really good, because in America it's not possible that you're not getting fresh hops from Oregon to Florida, for instance, in the same fashion. And even in the UK with its smaller geographical footprint, it's still not happening there to the same extent it happens here. The same with Australia. It's just, small region compared to the size of the country. So
yeah, and I think they do
yeah.
them, but it's not the all-consuming. There are. And I would love to count. I would love a count of how many fresh hop beers there have been. I'm saying it's at least 60 plus, pushing 100 maybe. Different fresh hop beers that are
we should keep a spreadsheet
like
next year.
2-month window basically. It's like from the beginning of April through to kind of mid-May, and then it's gone.
And I do think one of the reasons they work in New Zealand, I think by and large there's a very a well-educated beer consumer group who likes these. But I also think as a country we understand agriculture and harvesting, and that certain things like either grapes or apples or feijoas or whatever, come at a certain time. And so it's easier to tell that story to people who are well versed in the nature of how agriculture works, and you can appreciate it and understand it a lot better, I think. So
I think that feijoa point is a really good one, because that's the thing. Like, to anybody anywhere else in the world, nobody, like, for a start, nobody knows what the heck a feijoa is. But for people coming to New Zealand, you get this 1 month period of the year where there are feijoas everywhere. You cannot move for feijoas. There are feijoa crumbles, there are feijoa cakes, there are everything, and then it's gone.
Yeah, and that's it. Yeah,
Never, not to be seen for another year.
Yeah, because no one cans them or freezes them or bottles them or whatever. That's it. Yeah, you just use them or lose them.
Yeah, canned feijoas. They're probably would you? But would you? No, surely nobody would do that. But I think I think that is a really good point. It is that we embrace seasonality. We are absolutely fine that you can get these things now and for the next few weeks, and then they'll be gone, and that's okay. It doesn't matter that you embrace the rarity. You love it while it's here, and then look forward to it coming back next year.
Yeah, brilliant. Brilliant. That's a good note to finish on, Martin. The Third Pint Theory is recorded, edited, and produced by myself, Michael Donaldson, and Martin Bridges, the Beer Bigwig. You can find past episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and all the other podcast platforms.
If you've enjoyed this episode, remember to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And please leave us a comment or rating. It really helps other beer lovers find the show. You can also find us on socials. We're third.pint.theory on Instagram and at thirdpinttheory.bsky.social on Blue Sky.
Don't forget to check out what we're up to outside the podcast. You can read my latest articles, reviews, and news in the Pursuit of Hoppiness magazine at hoppiness.co.nz. Plus, you can sign up to my weekly beer news email, Friday Night Beers, at hoppiness.substack.com.
And if you're a brewery, bar, or restaurant owner looking for help with making the most out of craft beer, you can get in touch with me at martin.bridges@beerbigwig.com. I can help you with beer lists, events, tastings, or other ways to help you make better beer decisions.
Finally, if you're interested in sponsoring the podcast or advertising, or you had any other suggestions or questions, drop me an email at michael@hoppiness.co.nz.
Until next time, keep your glass full and your hops fresh. Ka kite ano.